Okay, as I mentioned earlier during the keynote, so we're going to talk a little bit about tech developer experience and how do we support CNCF project and developers. So here is our tech chairs and leaders. I'm going to go by myself first. My name is Daniel, and I'm co-chair and long-time ambassador. I'm from Red Hat/IBM. And unfortunately, Marcio was supposed to be here, but he got some visa problem. Thank you for United States. And, and by the way, I'm from Boston, just a couple hours flight. And then I'm going to hand you over to Kevin. You haven't introduced me. Oh, yeah, sure. OK. So basically, any other tag, so basically we have 3 co-chairs, like a more regional and like someone actually absent, and then they cover up the others. 3 co-chairs, including me and Marcio and Mona, and then 5 different tech leaders, special people, tech leaders. Okay, and now here is Kevin Dubois.
Hello? OK. Yeah, so I'm Kevin Dubois. I'm now at IBM. I work as a developer advocate. My background is in software engineering. And it was always a big kind of issue, I think, to get really good developer experience for software teams to be productive and to have a good workflow. And I saw that in the CNCF landscape as well, that there's a lot of kind of things that we can improve. So I'm happy to be part of this new tag to help steer this new direction.
Thanks, Kevin. I'm Julien. I work at Akamai on our cloud-native products. I also work on an internal platform that we have for cloud-native, also focusing on trying to not focus only on developers that are writing code, but also developers that are writing YAML, Kubernetes manifest, and trying to create a platform for them to be able to deploy their infrastructure like if they were developers.
And just for Erica, we have another tech leader here.
Hello, everyone. I'm Graziano. I'm from Italy. I'm one of the tech lead for the tech developer experience. I'm working in Mea Platform. It's an Italian company. And I'm also a Kubernetes contributor for the upcoming release.
Thanks, mate, from Italy. And we have 2 more tech leaders, Joshua and Melanie. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it today. But hopefully, next year, Amsterdam. And then here's Erica.
Hi, I'm really happy to be joining these wonderful people here on this panel. My name is Erica Hughberg, and I currently work at Tetrate. And my background is a lot in developer experience. I worked in especially the fintech space, where I've been leading platform solutions, specifically API platforms and CAM platforms. So I've dealt a lot with the challenges of both adopting CNCF technologies, building internal platforms, and delivering these solutions internally. So developer experience is really close to my heart. So I'm really excited about this work that these guys are doing. So really happy to be joining them here to talk about the work and the challenges and experiences. I'm also a maintainer of the Envoy AI Gateway project, so also the challenges as a maintainer. So really excited to be joining you all in the conversation. But yeah, over to you all in presenting some of the work you're doing.
And she's a local here. Yeah, this is a really great combination because we actually from developer experience tech group, and Erica, she has a great experience as a developer, but also platform engineering and infrastructure as well. And then the reason why we invited her because she wanted to share more the like a polyglot aspect. How do we improve developers' experience and like another team as well. Just one quick reminder, and you probably saw this slide a couple of times, London and here. So as you can see, there are 5 different tags. So we're going to focus on developer experience, but you can also see that here is a TOC, an initiative, and a sub-project. So we're going to go through a little bit detail. So this is for next 10 years tech group, new layout. So today we're going to a little bit more focus on DevEx. So I'm going to just give some little bit goal of this tag. So we're not going to create a brand new CNCF landscape at all. So we try to create and build a little bit of shared standard. Maybe we can create some some cloud-native journey map for developers. So because you got a lot of bunch of the tools, so open source projects from CNCF landscape, and how do you find the right one and right tools for your specific journey? So we did that. Oh God, what the hell is that? Okay, something annoying me. Okay, sorry about that. So networking is not stable here. Okay, anyway. So we try to create, of course, a white paper or some a journey map or some of the guideline and standards, not literally project, but for developer, for inner loop and outer loop processes. So when developers start their cloud-native application development, like a microservice and API or even AI application, which tools they're going to pick it up first? And then go to CNCF project and landscape, there are 1,000 different projects, how to pick it up, and then what kind of project they can use that not only one, a multi-projects or software tools, could be 10, could be 2, could be 5, and that is the main goal. And we're going to support CNCF projects, end users. So if you go to for example, observability. Everybody doing observability, not only developer, but also platform engineer. And which project you're going to think about it, which is OTel, OpenTelemetry. And then you can go to OpenTelemetry Git repo and then find some README or relevant documentation. Maybe you can feel, oh, that's really I'm looking forward to. But sometimes, I cannot find relevant document or example or sample application. As a Java developer, okay, there is great example, but there's no specific Java framework example. And how do you figure it out? You can maybe go to ChatGPT or Google Gemini, ask that, or you can maybe, it's right time to contribute back to that project, create a new documentation for the new beginner to give some great example or sample application with the relevant documentation. So whenever we find some developer-related CNCF project and user people, we're going to try to communicate with them and then work together closely and then add more developer productivity or developer experience deliverable. It could be a pull request, it could be some issue, it could be some document, it could be something else. Whatever we create with working closely with the end user project, like a maintainer or contributor, it will improve the developer experience with the CNCF projects. Of course, so we're going to try to reduce some roadblocks or barriers to entry, get into a cloud-native application development. But that's not only application, a pure application. Could be Java, JavaScript, Python, or .NET, even a YAML or some of the script things as well. As long as you build something some more crafted thing on Kubernetes and CNCF, kind of project, and then we can say that they are developers, and then we more than happy to help them. So you can go to the tag developer experience chatter we published a month ago, right? And then we working together, not only tag leaders, but also community people. And then we create a chatter. But that is not 100% fixed. We can always improve based on feedback from community people like you guys today. And then there's a goal. And then this is the 3 main goals. So we're going to go to initiative. And people are a little bit confused what is the difference between initiative and sub-project. I'm going to hand it over to my tech leaders, Julien.
Thanks, Daniel. So there's a few initiatives here that we've started. So these are not, so one of them is accepted. Others are open for feedback as well from you and from the rest of the community. So I'll briefly present them. The one that is accepted here is cloud native and OCI compliant inner loop tooling and packaging for AI engineers. So what does that mean? This aims to bring basically cloud native practices and principles to AI engineers that are developing. So trying to define an inner loop workflow and I get them to adopt cloud native practices such as using containers, using Kubernetes, and also trying to do that, use these principles in their inner loop as well. The other one is a specification for declaring application integration dependencies, so trying to capture what does an application actually needs for its runtime. So all of the integration dependencies like databases, message buses, external services that it may need to communicate, trying to define that in some sort of manifest, and then what does an application actually need to be able to run successfully. Next one is a cloud-native adoption framework. So trying to define here a developer-centric framework to assess, improve, and scale the adoption of CNCF projects. And then the outcome that we want from this here is to accelerate meaningful adoption of CNCF projects within the developer community. And then lastly, an initiative from myself to improve developer experience for secure coding. So I think when we think of security within the developer experience, it's often very frictionful. Here we want to collaborate with tax security to do an assessment of what is out there and what is being done within the CNCF projects. Sorry. And then try to identify the developer experience friction that exists, as well as the gaps that exist for secure coding within the CNCF projects, like static code analysis, SAS tools, dependencies management.
Give me 1 second. So before we move into sub-project, so initiative basically is a short-term, like a project. So we're going to start initiative once accepted after review. So currently TOC team reviewed the all submitted initiative, and then once they accept it, approve that, and then it assigned to specific tag, for example, tag developer experience or observability or some infrastructure. And we're going to working with them and then close to with maintainer projects as well. But it's not long projects. Sub-project basically like a long-term project. Initiative maybe rather than couple months, maybe 1 month or a couple of weeks, something like that. So Kevin, a little bit more talk about sub-project, what sub-project we are working on right now, and then more detail.
Thank you, Daniel. I was about to do the same thing, because I was like, oh, wait, we started talking about initiatives and sub-projects without really explaining what the difference is. So, but yeah, so initiatives, maximum is supposed to be like 3 months. Sub-projects can be a little bit longer, and maybe we can break those down a little bit as well into certain initiatives that break off from those sub-projects. So some of the sub-projects that have been proposed also from inside our tag, but please, if you have anything interesting, submit them and let us know, and we are happy to collaborate with different tags as well. So one of those sub-projects that we're working on is a cloud-native journey map for developers, and this is kind of more of a white paper-ish initiative, even though, well, now I talk about initiatives, so that's one of the sub-parts of that. But what we want to make is some sort of a map for developers to find their way throughout the whole cloud-native landscape, which is quite overwhelming, as we all know, and make it more clear for developers, like how can I actually deliver and build my application in a cloud-native way. Another sub-project that we have, which is about agentic AI to enhance the developer experience in the software development lifecycle, because, well, everybody talks about agentic AI, of course, that's the new hot thing. How can we actually make that part of the SDLC and deliver those agents in a cloud-native way to Kubernetes and to our platforms, and plug in all the things that we're used to in terms of observability, in terms of fault tolerance, in terms of all those things that we're already used to in the enterprise world, right? Then the third one is accelerating the cloud-native developer workflow and try to create a guide for the inner and outer loop. The inner loop being, you know, as a developer doing your work on your kind of local machine or in your IDE, and then the outer loop is how do we actually get that delivered with, you know, CI/CD and all those stuff. So how can we make that into more of a workflow and collaborate again with the other tags? And then finally, Julien here proposed a really interesting sub-project, because this is something that we don't really talk about very much in terms of security, but for developers who work in those more tightly controlled environments where PCI compliance is important, how can we actually improve their developer experience in the CNCF world as well? So those are some of the sub-projects that we are working on right now. But again, if you are interested in contributing some projects that you see are interesting initiatives, please let us know. We're happy to help you guide those initiatives throughout. And then I think we are ready for our discussion and questions. So I think, Daniel, do you want to ask any questions so far? Or should we ask the audience if they have any questions yet? Does anybody have any questions so far? Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Hello, can you put in the mic here? I can give you my mic.
Yeah, that's easier.
Thank you.
So I love everything you're doing, and I love how we help with the ecosystem and help developers adopt the ecosystem quicker and faster. One of the questions I had though was, you've mentioned multiple times on how you want to be able to provide recommendations as to which tool sets to use or how to adopt different aspects of the ecosystem. But how do you balance that out with the no king-making kind of concept with the CNCF, right? Where we don't want to define necessarily who the winners are, if you see what I mean, when there are multiple competing options in the ecosystem.
That's a great question. You want to take this question? Okay, I'm going to give us a little bit quick comment. So that's a really great question. So, so basically, we try to listen to the maintainer first. So we have our own goal, like initial sub-project, whatever we call that, like create a white paper, whatever that. But the primary goal, we need to support the maintainers. So maintainer, for example, open telemetry or whatever they, and we have our own priority. For example, we're gonna finish these features for the next release, like 2 months later as a community project. We are more than happy to help. But if they have any a plan to improve the developer experience related feature in the next 6 months, we definitely revisit them 6 months later. We're not going to enforce them. Hey, you need to add some developer features right now, even if we have a great feedback from QCon or other Java conference or developer. We give some idea, need to share idea and give some inspiration. But we always follow their priority. We recently invited some people from Prometheus group, and then they shared what kind of developer experience features, capability they actually think about it. And then we thought, oh, that's a really good idea, but maybe this is not great time to create some initiative or sub-project due to their priority and their time schedule. But they also recommend us, maybe you guys need to meet other maintainer project, because we heard that they also interested in developing or improving developer features. So that's what we are normally working on that.
If I can add a little bit, I think one of the good things that we can do is probably to not bias anything, is maybe share some of the success stories from some of the projects that they've been successful in using some of these tools, right? Without necessarily pushing that narrative that you should be using that, but maybe trying to see, what is out there, what are the projects doing, and trying to say this has been a success story there, and maybe what they found that was good about it, bad about it, and then maybe try to shape a set of stories that can be used for inspiration for the other projects.
Yeah, I think you're, as a maintainer of a project that also has alternative solutions out there, right? I don't believe that the project that I maintain is going to be the solution that's going to fit everyone's use cases, because it isn't. Because that would be impossible. Because if you are the solution for everyone, that's not bad marketing. If you've ever worked in marketing and designed a product, you aren't the solution for everyone. That's impossible. You are taking on an impossible task. So I think what is also important from the DevEx tag as well is to encourage projects to be very explicit for who they are designing. Like, who are your target client? Who is your ICP? Because if you are going to do good DevEx, your intended user need to understand that they are the intended user. Are you designing for security? Is your solution that you have designed really good in a highly secure, air-gapped, highly configurable scenario? Or is your solution highly scalable, but maybe there are some drawbacks? Like, be transparent. I think people, it's okay to be honest, and I think it's okay to be also very comfortable in understanding that no product is for everyone, and that is basic product design 101, right? And I think that some of the confusion that I, as also a user before of a lot of the solutions in the CNCF ecosystem, has been, oh, if you just configure it this way and that way, it could do anything you could ever dream of. And maybe if you can fork it, you can also change the code, and now it could do anything. Like, sorry. But that has really overwhelmed me before, sorry. But that would be something as both of a user and maintainer has been hard.
Sound good? Did you answer? Cool, yeah. Question, other question. Oh yeah, go ahead. Here's a, can you step up here? Yeah, mic is here. Yeah. Yeah. Nice hat.
It's a little high.
Cooper.
Okay.
You can take it off, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, one of the things I've devoted my life to for the past couple of years is porting Hughberg or Kubernetes add-ons, Kubernetes operators to the S390X and PPC 64LE architectures. And one of the things that we run up against a lot, besides lack of test resources, unless they're internal, public test resources are a problem. But the other really big thing we run up against is developer tools that are by design multi-arch. You've got a bit of QEMU over here and a cross compiler over there and a bit of emulation over here, but it seems that the developer tools, even Basel, are they don't take into account the need to compile for multiple architecture. I mean, Go is great because you can build it on a lot of things, but then if you've got Java, then you've got to get a specialized JVM for your platform, or if it's written in C, or part of it's written in C, or if it's a device, there's a lot of things that don't pull all those things together. So I was wondering if you have comments on that. Just, I'd love to hear your perspective.
I just wanted to relate for a second because I had a friend and colleague in open source who kindly gave me something that supposedly worked on his machine, by the way. And it took me a while to realize it was definitely there. I was running on a Mac with a silicon. Yeah, that was why it didn't work. And I felt really stupid after spent about half a weekend. I was like, he said it works. And I said, no, it doesn't. And so and also Basil, by the way. And C, sorry, I've fought my, sorry.
Just rebuild it.
Yes, just. And also, by the way, we just use it's a Docker image, right? It works on your Apple with a silicon chip, right? No. So, yeah. So I do think sometimes, especially in the open source world, it can be really, really tough when we all work on different machines. And yeah, I don't have an answer. I just wanted to say that it's hard.
I mean, I don't have an answer per se either, but this sounds like a great initiative to launch in our tag, because this is what we want to help with in the cloud native space is, and the projects in specific, is to help the developer experience of the projects. And so that means, in your case, let's create an initiative. Let's improve the developer experience of this and this and this. These are the pain points that we have, and then we can try to collaborate and see like how can we maybe analyze what is the issue, and then come up with maybe some sort of solution. And maybe we can't do it in 3 months, but in that initiative time space, at least we can come up with a plan, and maybe that's the outcome of the initiative in the first place, to then hopefully improve and make it more accessible for developers, whatever type developer it is, to then adopt those projects. So that's absolutely what we would like to help with. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I gotta add one little bit comment. So because my background, most likely Java and JavaScript and a little bit Python and among other languages. So whenever like a build and testing some application, though doesn't matter what kind of developer, they are already looking for the fancy tools, automated that testing kind of stuff. So whatever they already looking forward to some like some programming tools in their IDE. Okay, so I need to some automated tool in my IDE and build test code and automatically test and identify some potential issue and then back to the source code and then change something and fix the problem. So it doesn't matter Java, Python, JavaScript, .NET, C++, assembly. So these days, you probably know a lot of AI code assistant tool actually make it automated their job. And then once the code assistant tool generate the testing code and identify the potential problem, and then automatically fix your code exactly right away, and then like even put into your CI/CD pipeline or GitHub action, whatever they need, and then put into your testing server, testing cluster, and then testing more like an integration scenario as well. So I totally agree with Kevin. So we definitely want to create a new initiative and then figure out what kind of tools, what kind of some experience we want to make it better for testing and automating. And even if not just a business application, it's more like how to improve, how to maintain our CNCF project tools. That's a really great question. Yeah, build it. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we can take a few more questions. So any other one? Go ahead.
So I have a question around the developer experience for secure coding. So I think end of September, the CD Foundation published a working guide on cybersecurity for CI/CD. I've read it. It reads like something that a product or some kind of a product security engineer
Trust the application.
Yeah, can understand, but certainly it's not structured in the way that like I feel your average company developer would be able to kind of use. So I guess my question is who's the audience for that developer or the secure coding initiative? Is it more aligned to just your average, say, Java web front-end JavaScript developer and so forth?
That's really great question.
Who is,
yeah.
Who is it going to be for? How is it going to be different?
Yeah, I guess the way I want to try to tackle this is to say all of this exists and is usually presented in a kind of frictionful, and trying to put yourself, the way at least I want this initiative to go is put yourself in the feet of a developer and try to kind of how we try to make everything faster and frictionless for developers for releasing their software and stuff like that. Try to apply these security models that are traditionally frictionful and apply them to how they develop their software. So I don't know if we'll go into like secure Java coding practices specifically and secure the coding practices, but maybe more around like what are the tools that you should be using to try to make your code actually safe. So like static code analysis, for example, is one. So trying to say these are the practices that you can use that are just going to give you a better posture and put yourself in the feet of a developer and to say this is how easily you can integrate that into your workflow and this is what it's going to give you.
Actually, I'm going to do something unorthodox. I'm going to ask you a question. Ooh. So something I used to do when I used to run an API platform team, because I had to enable application developers. I love security, by the way. So I used to partner really closely with my security engineering and security team. And I love doing let's move fast, safely, with confidence. Because who doesn't like that? Because we want to ship applications as fast as possible. Because, you know, the business, they like that. They like applications out the door. But I like the idea of, like, creating these frameworks as a platform leader for the application developers. Because you know what? They like writing insecure code. So are you planning to enable platform leaders with tooling to enable their application developers to not make insecure code?
Yeah, I guess that's, well, we're out of time, but I'll go briefly. But yeah, I think one of the key aspects is trying to bake these in so developers have an extremely easy access to it, right? So developers shouldn't have to think, oh, I need to worry about this, and that, and they should just get it for free, and that's where the platform leaders can just basically enable that for them, and they just get it for free, right? As if they use the platform, they get it for free. They get like their container scanned automatically, they get static code analysis, they get all of that for free, but it's also how do you make it for free, but you don't get too much into their path of being able to release and deploy software fast. I think that's what we need to kind of find out is how to strike that balance of enabling that by default in their platform and getting them to use it, but not getting in their way of shipping code either, right?
Maybe really quick, even though we're out of time, in terms of security and developer experience, obviously there's a tag security as well, so we need to collaborate. And I do want to shout out Yassine. He's proposing an unconference at the next KubeCon at the Maintainer Summit, how do we work together, in terms of developer experience between the different It's here. Okay, it's here.
Today. It's not,
So
yeah.
you should all go to that
This
session. And sorry about that. Because that's a really good point. How can we tie that all together? So.
All right, that's a really good conversation and discussion today. Thanks for joining. So here's the last QR, so you can actually scan, and then how do you can join our tag after this event. And then we all stick around today and tomorrow colo and the main event. Yeah, please, people reach out to us and ask any around the question there. And thank you so much, and have a good rest of the day.